Hello, my amazing third grade artists. Today we are continuing our thinking about the color wheel, and we're going to think about the colors that are next to each other, the colors that are analogous. The reason why we're thinking about these is because it's an important color group that we need to use in our artwork. So again, the analogous colors, they're colors that are next to each other on the color wheel, such as yellow, yellow-green, and green. We are going to be using our analogous colors to create our very own analogous color cityscapes. You get to decide whether your cityscape is at night or during the day. We are going to be working with symmetry as well, where if we were to draw a line right down the middle, it would look the same on either side. I can't wait to see what you'll come up with. Let's get started. This project, we are going to be needing paint, crayons, and of course, a fresh sheet of paper. To get started, we are going to be creating our city. The first thing that we're going to do is fold our paper in half so that the long edges meet. So I'm going to fold my paper over, make those long edges meet, start my crease in the middle, and work my way out. Then I'm going to unfold, and I'm going to start creating my cityscape. I'm going to be using a castle line, but instead of making the ups and downs of my castle line all the same, I'm going to add just a little bit of variety. You can start with pencil. That's a great idea for how to start. So we're just making kind of the top edges of a square or a rectangle. And I'm gonna go up for some, really tall, come down, move over, just kind of making a cityscape as if it was a bunch of really big buildings. Once I've got a cityscape line that I like, so if I liked the way that those things were laid out, I'm actually gonna go over that with a crayon, a black crayon, because I'm gonna be doing my cityscape at night. You could do your cityscape at a day during the daytime. I would still use the black crayon. And for our cityscapes, we are going to make them as if they are reflected over the water, and we're thinking about those analogous colors. Analogous colors are colors that are next to each other on the color wheel. So I'm going to be picking a set of 3 colors that are next to each other on the color wheel for my sky, which will then be reflected in the water. To get that mirror image, I'm going to fold my paper back up, and then I'm going to trace over my crayon line. You should probably be able to see it through your picture with a pencil. And by pressing down with my pencil, tracing over that crayon line on the back side of the paper, I am going to make a transfer. So some of those crayon marks are being pressed onto the side of the paper that was blank as I do this. And then I should, when I open things up, have transferred successfully a mirror image of those lines, and I can trace over them with a little bit darker crayon mark if I would like. And so what I have now is a piece of artwork that is symmetrical bilaterally. So if I was to cut it down the middle, it would look the same on either side. Like I said, you can decide whether your cityscape is at night or during the day. I'm going to be modeling one that is at night. Next, I am going to add in some more crayon details, working with yellows and whites to do kind of windows, stars, and other details in my cityscape. I could also add in some birds, maybe some clouds. Working with crayon is first is a technique called wax resist. The wax of the crayon is going to resist the water of the watercolors. Got 6 windows on that one, which means reflected in the water, I would have 6 windows as well. And maybe over here, I just do 2. So then on the mirror image, I would have 2 as well. Maybe over here, I've got a row of 3. Then I do 3 here as well. Maybe over here I have 1 big window. Do the same in my mirror image. And then maybe here again I have 2 and 2. I could add stars, so maybe I've got 1 star that's yellow above that building, 1 star in the middle here, 1 star close to the building, and then 1 star a little bit further up, 1 star down low, 1 star kind of by the corner, star up above, maybe 1 star above the corner of this one, down in the middle. And over here, I'm going to do a crescent shape, or a crescent moon. Now I can add in some details with my white crayon. We're not going to be able to see these details right now, but when we paint, they will appear. And because I can't really see what those lines look like right now, I might not be able to make those perfectly symmetrical, but I'm going to kind of do a similar idea with my marks as I add those in. Once I've got things laid out with my crayons, I've added in any details that I would like to have added in, I am good to go to start painting. I'm going to paint my sky and buildings that are above that horizon line, that are the actual buildings first, and then I'm going to do something a little bit different as I move into the water. I'm going to start by painting my sky colors. A great art tip is to start with your background and then move forward. This helps make sure that the background looks like it's behind the foreground. So as we're thinking about the color wheel, we can pick colors that are analogous, that are next to each other. So I could do red, orange, and yellow. I could do orange, yellow, green. I could do yellow, green, blue. I could do green, blue, purple. I could do blue, purple, red. I could do purple, red, orange. Those are all different groupings of analogous colors. I think that I will use, for the purposes of my project, I'm going to go with red, purple, blue. So I'm going to start with my red, adding a little bit of water, and I'm going to put this right above the buildings, really thinking of that kind of dusk sky right before it gets completely dark. And it's okay if I go into my buildings a little bit because I'm going to be painting those black, and black is the most powerful color. It covers up everything. I've got some red down at the base here. That color is still wet. I'm going to swish my brush in the water cup, swipe it on the lip to make sure it's clean before getting a new drip of water to move into purple, because purple is next to red on the color wheel. I'm working while these two colors are still a little wet so that my colors bleed together in a technique that's called wet on wet. And while that purple's still wet, I'm going to quickly rinse my brush off, make sure it's clean before moving into that last color that I'm doing, which is blue up at the top. And if my colors are still both wet at the same time, that edge should sort of bleed together, should mix together. You'll see all of my crayon details are showing up now because of that wax resist. I'm going to do the mirror image down here in the reflected water. Again, I'm going to start with a base of my color that is at the top of my paper, is also going to end up at the bottom of my paper because I'm doing some mirror images, some symmetry. You'll see those crayon details showing up. I'm going to do my best to work quickly so that my colors stay wet on wet. I'm kind of painting right into the buildings here, which is going to help give that effect of things being reflected in the water. So I've got painting right over my buildings here, working while those colors are still wet, adding drops of water to my colors as I need to, making sure I'm rinsing my brush and swiping it on the lip of my cup before switching colors so that the colors in my paint palette stay the colors they're supposed to be and don't get dirty. Alrighty, now I'm going to paint with the darkest, most powerful color of all. I'm going to paint with black. And my black is going to become my buildings. Now I'm going to be a little careful because, like I said, it's one of the most powerful colors. And so when it covers over things, a little is going to go a long way. So as I'm moving in the buildings, I'm using those beautiful brush strokes that we've talked about from time to time. I'm doing my best to spread the paint neatly inside my lines and drips of water as I need it. You can see a little bit goes a long way. The more water you have with your color, the lighter it'll appear, so it'll be kind of like a gray in the case of black. And the less water, the darker it's going to appear. And again, we want to use it sparingly. A little goes a long way when working with black. And there we have it, our analogous color sky and reflected water. I could add in some lines kind of over the top to really give the effect of that water being down here at the bottom, if I wanted to. Done with your fabulous painting, make sure that you're cleaning up your workspace, that you're finding a safe spot for your painting to dry. Wait to put your paints back into your bag until after they are dry. Make sure that a picture of your completed artwork gets posted to Seesaw. I can't wait to see what you create.